Hey Ravens fans, I'm Garrett Downing. This is Ryan Mink. It's time for this week's edition of the Flock Mailbag. Rookie minicamp wrapped up over the weekend, and we got a ton of questions on our Facebook wall asking about the rookies. How do they look? Who stands out? All kinds of questions. So let's jump right into them. First one comes from Andrew today. He wants to know which rookie is most likely to see the most playing time this season.
Yeah, well, I think the obvious answer would be Courtney Upshaw, especially with Terrell Suggs going down. You know, Upshaw is the logical answer, I think, to step into that spot because it's the same position he played in college. So Courtney really could be a starter as a rookie, which is kind of rare. Not a ton of Ravens players have done that. You know,
especially on defense.
Especially on defense, right? Jimmy Smith last year, I mean, he was a first-round pick. Courtney's a second-round pick. Yeah. Jimmy didn't start for the whole year, so, and granted he had an early injury. But, you know, if Courtney can stay healthy, and I think he is the logical answer to step in there and make a big impact right away.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good pick. I think that on the offensive side, somebody who can maybe get a lot of playing time is the running back Bernard Pierce, the third-round selection. You know, with Ricky Williams gone, if Pierce ends up winning that number 2 running back spot, he's going to get a lot of carries. Ricky Williams had more than 100 carries last year, and Ray Rice routinely talked about how it was the best thing that ever happened to him because he didn't take so much abuse throughout the season. I actually talked to Ray at his Ray Rice Day over the weekend. He said, I'm excited about having this guy here because he wants to take some of the load off of me, and as a veteran back, that's what you want. You don't want to just spend all season getting beat up. So I think that if he wins that number 2 spot,
which I think it'll be a battle. I think with Anthony Allen and Damian Barry, it's going to be a battle.
I agree with you on that, but I think that if he ends up winning it, he can maybe compete for the most playing time. So all right, next question comes from Kevin. Wants to know, do you think a rookie on the Ravens roster could become Rookie of the Year? So it's kind of taking this question to the next level.
Yeah, well, I'm going to stay on the Courtney Upshaw bandwagon and say I honestly think that Upshaw will have a pretty good shot at Rookie of the Year this year, especially, you know, if Terrell Suggs comes back on the later end of his estimate as opposed to the earlier end. And the reason I say that is, you know, he can make an impact right away with his sacks, and that gets a lot of attention. You know, Terrell Suggs was the Defensive Rookie of the Year back in 2003. He got 12 sacks, and he wasn't even starting then. He only started 1 game. So if Upshaw can come in, put up some sack numbers, and he's going to have the storylines of him stepping in for Terrell Suggs, all that attention is going to be on Courtney Upshaw. So if he succeeds, I could see him definitely getting some votes for Rookie of the Year.
The chatter has already started, you know, for Upshaw. Some people are already floating his name out there right now. So, and like you said, sacks are sexy. Right. You know, a lot of people like to look at the sack numbers. I think that if there's a player on the roster, he would probably be the most likely candidate to compete for that Rookie of the Year spot. All right, Ryan, so now let's move over maybe to the offensive side of things. And Andy is asking us, do you think there's any offensive linemen from the weekend who look like they could step into the starting role at left guard?
Well, I was really impressed with the camp that KO had. I thought he looked massive once he strapped pads on, and the guy was just bulldozing people. I mean, honestly, it was a light contact kind of camp, you know, there really wasn't a lot, but you could just see him just, I mean, he's just a big guy who was running into a lot of people, and he looked mobile for his size, you know. I mean, I just looked at him, I said, this guy's NFL ready. You know, he just looks like an NFL lineman already.
He stood out on the field.
He did, he really did.
The biggest guy out there, and he towered over defensive linemen, he towered over his other offensive linemen. It was like almost like the 8th grader playing with the 6th graders.
Right, yeah. I mean, I don't want to pump him up too much quite yet, but the guy looked really good in his first 3 days, and I think that he could will definitely push Ja Reed for that starting left guard spot, and Gino Gurkowski I think will also mix in there, but to me, I think KO has a very good shot at that spot.
Yeah, I think we'll know more when he gets on the field with the veterans. Because right now he was on the field with all rookies, you know, for the most part. And I think that once you get him out there next to some of the veterans, Ja Reed's a big guy as well. You know what I mean?
So is Haloti Ngata.
Right.
He won't look as big next to Haloti.
Exactly. He won't look as big next to some of those guys. Right. So once he's standing there alongside of them, maybe we'll have a better idea. But this weekend, I would say, coming out of it, the rookie minicamp, he definitely stood out in that regard. So Ravens fans, that's all the time we have for the questions this week, but keep the questions coming in the future, and also keep it locked right here on BaltimoreRavens.com.